Good evening, and thanks for inviting me to participate in this critically important conversation about tax haven abuse and beneficial ownership disclosure. As Dan said, my name is David Borris. I'm the owner of Hell's Kitchen Catering on the North Shore of Chicago. I'm also a member of the Executive Committee of the Main Street Alliance, a national network of small business owners. Our network creates opportunities for small businesses to speak for ourselves on issues that impact our local communities and our bottom lines. My wife and I opened a 900 square foot storefront almost 29 years ago, and over the years have grown it into a full service catering company that now employs 28 full-time and over 80 part-time and seasonal workers. We take great pride in what we do and value the long-standing relationships that we've developed over the years with our employees, our vendors, and of course our loyal clientele. I'm here today to provide a small business perspective on the egregious practice of large corporations offshoring billions of dollars to avoid paying their fair share for the necessary goods and services that sustain the common good. This practice not only places an excessive burden on small business owners who do pay our rightful portion, it also leaves the door open for potentially dangerous entities to gain a financial foothold inside our borders. Let me address the undue burden first. As small business owners, we establish our enterprises understanding that we must make a fair profit in order to thrive and grow. But we also have an innate understanding of the symbiotic relationship we enjoy with the local communities that sustain us. We know that a level playing field gives everyone a chance to prosper. What we don't do is attempt to unfairly augment our piece of the pie by cheating our fellow citizens out of theirs. We do not employ armies of high-priced accountants and tax lawyers to devise ways to effectively cheat our communities and the American people out of the resources necessary to sustain the common good. We contribute our fair share of tax dollars that get reinvested in our local communities that sustain tens of millions of small businesses from coast to coast. But that paradigm is increasingly imperiled. The flow of corporate taxes into the federal government is near an all-time low. In 2009, overall federal revenues fell below 16% of GDP for the first time since 1950. And back in 1950, corporations were picking up 40% of the total business and individual tax burden. Today, they pay less than 18% of that total. That's correct. Individual taxpayers, which include more than half of all small business filings, now pay almost 5 times what big corporations pay into the federal revenue stream. Taking steps to alleviate this undue burden should be a top priority for any member of Congress who is looking for small business growth in this country. And closing the offshore loopholes is a major step in the right direction. But don't just take my word for it. In a poll conducted back in 2011, when this problem was even less widely talked about, 91% of small business owners responded that accounting loopholes that shifted profits to offshore subsidiaries to avoid taxes was a problem. 55% of the respondents felt it was a serious problem. In that same poll, over 65% of small businesses felt that big corporations do not pay their fair share of taxes, and tellingly, 75% felt that their small business was actually harmed by the profit advantage enjoyed by large corporations' tax avoidance. Small business owners like me understand that paying taxes is not an evil exercise. Rather, it's the price that we all pay for living in a civil society. But it ought to be a price that we all pay equally, not loaded up unduly on the neighborhood shoe store, the local salon, or the corner bakery. These businesses that employ over half the private sector workforce in this country, they go to the bank every day and deposit their hard-earned profits. They don't transfer money into overseas shell corporations. They don't have dozens of secret bank accounts, and neither should anyone else. Now, allow me to say one simple thing about the disclosure of beneficial ownership interests. As a small business owner who spent over 3 decades growing roots in my community, everyone knows where they can find me. And when I want my voice heard on an issue, I put a sign in my storefront window. I wear a button on my chest. I ask my friends, neighbors, and customers to sign a petition. I don't hide my identity, and I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. That's the heart and soul of an honest relationship with the larger community that sustains us. We should expect not one iota less from the biggest of businesses in this country. If they choose to engage in aberrant financial behavior, let us at the very least make certain that their customers and all of the American people know exactly who they are. Then we'll let the market sort out the rest. Now you'll hear stories from those that claim to speak for small business who will tell you that if we stop allowing businesses to cheat, we won't have any jobs at all. They'll tell you that the only way that job creators will continue to employ folks is if we allow them to keep an unfair share of the profits that flow into their coffers. Organizations like the NFIB and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they'll claim they're speaking for small businesses like mine. But what they're engaged in is identity theft, pure and simple. Because people who have worked all of their lives drawing from and giving back to their local communities, they really don't think that way, and they don't act that way. That behavior is the province of those who have no connection to the community, those who would vacuum resources out of the very communities that sustain true small business. It's time for new rules of the road on transparency of ownership and tax havens. Rules of the road that reflect small business values, that reflect American values. Rules that will engender trust, inspire confidence, and re-engage with that most traditional and important small business mantra: when we all pay our fair share, when we care equally about our community as ourselves, when we all do our rightful part, we all prosper and thrive. Thank you.